we oh, thank you. Thank you so much. And here we go. Here we go. We have this amazing session prepared for you guys. And as you remember in our goals for today, we are going to talk about cultural equity. So last week we started by talking about the funding ecosystem in the arts and the different actors in the different institutions, levels of institutions. And we also talked about the different sources of funding, right? That is the first thing, to understand that there is all of these resources that are available, and that, what is the reasoning behind the competing nature of grants? Why do we have to compete with one another? In other words, why your success means my failure, right? So that's a zero-sum mentality. That is the basic premise of that is there is not enough for everybody, right? And as we come into talk more about this and collaborating more, we really want to unearth that mentality of scarcity, right? Particularly in our communities that have been brought upon a lot of marginalization, a lot of scarcity. Really, we have developed this notion that if you get something, I am not getting it, right? And this shows up in the ways in which we communicate, in the ways that we partner, in the ways that we create community. And the radical approach to this new reality that we're proposing is that, we are artists. Our sacred job is to create a new reality. We don't have to worry about numbers. We don't have to worry about about budgets necessarily, not yet. Our first and foremost job is to envision a world in which we can live together, in which we can have a dignified life, a world that people want to invest themselves in. So this is the first thing that I will tell you about equity and cultural equity at that. From each according to their ability, to each according to their needs, right? This is contrasting the idea of merit. You are, if you work hard, if you are tenacious, disciplined, all of these things, you will be successful. Well, we know, we understand, because we come from communities with a lot of challenges, that is not always the case, that not always the person that works hardest has the most success, that hard work doesn't equate an income. Actually, the people who work the hardest is the people that is the lowest paid, but why does that happen? Why does that happen? Well, this is and I just want to hold on, let me take a step back. I just want to give a big shout out to our last class of transformative arts business. Sen is right there, Trey's back there, and we're just like receiving all of our diplomas at the end of our time together. But now back on why is it that some people get paid more and some people get paid less, right? I really love this graph, because it allows us to really see what's going on and how do we interpret reality as is. Inequality, what you can see at the top left side of the screen, is an unequal distribution and access to opportunities, right? I mean, these kids are underneath the tree, and in theory they would both be able to access the apples, but there's just apples on one side, and that there's just one person that is getting the apples. Then equality, right? Hey, let's push for equality, even distribution tools and assistance, right? And this is what equality looks like, and this is what a lot of the institutions that we live under tell us today. This equality is at the bottom left. Is, hey, you both have ladders. Hey, everybody has access to some kind of education. Everybody has access to some kind of social services, right? Yeah, but sometimes that support is not enough to actually reach the resources, the food, the opportunities that we need. And then we have the concept of equity, top right corner. Hey, to each, what was that phrase? To each according to their needs. To each according to their needs. You know, sometimes we need to take a little extra time, invest a little bit of extra resources on people who have historically been pushed to the margins, because we need to let them know that we want them here in the center, right? With everyone else. And finally, the concept of justice. When we fix what in the past has been a rigged system, a rigged tree that is going to the side, now we have it standing firm, fixing the system to offer equal access to both tools and opportunities, right? And I just want to be very clear. What we are doing here is this, because we are building ourselves up to get to this, right? It is a long journey. It is not something that is going to change probably in our lifetime, in our generation. But the work that we are doing today, that we're planting today, will remain for generations to come. Now, what is equity? First and foremost, what is equity? Is the relationship between the input and the output of an enterprise. Just simply put, very simply put, is the relationship between the input into an enterprise and the outcome of it. So the effort, the energy, the resources, the work that you're putting into your company, into your organization, into your family, into your community, into your city, right? Into your society, will have a result, will have an outcome, which is success, profit, growth of an enterprise. Now, this is the very basic concept, but the truth is that the system that we live in has been shaped by this lens of white supremacy, patriarchy, and capitalism. When you look around and you see all of these things that are that just feel so shameful, right? You see, if you live in San Francisco, you're seeing these millionaires traveling in their super expensive cars, assisting to all of these amazing, fantastic events, super dressed up, all of these things. And as they are coming out of the venue, there's people living off the streets, doing drugs, living, really, really harsh conditions. And this is something that I remember from a conversation with a really good friend, and we were saying that in many ways, San Francisco is the most violent city that we have lived in, because it forces you to witness this pain, to witness this suffering, this indignity, and it forces you also to ignore it, to ignore the basic humanity of the people that you encounter on the streets, right? This is not by chance. This is not just like a coincidence. These three main potencies, these three main things, white supremacy, patriarchy, and capitalism, have actually been creating a lot of the systems that we live with since ancient times, right? Since the creation of capitalism, maybe before, since the creation of colonialism, maybe before. you know, since the creation of patriarchy, maybe before. Now, when we talk about these things, um, you know, there's a lot of groups who are doing a lot of really important work to dismantle these structures, but it is important that we understand that these three things, you know, are just different parts of the same thing. What do I mean by this? Imagine that in a little in a bottle of paint, we start throwing the paint color red, and we start throwing a little bit of yellow, and we start throwing a little bit of blue, right? Or any other color, whatever color. And then one of them is capitalism, one of them is white supremacy, one of them is patriarchy. When you feel this bucket, you start stirring it. You start stirring it, and then the final color is going to come off as a brown poop color, like the poop society that we live in these days. And then you take that paint and you paint the whole room with it, right? By the time that you're done painting that room, you look around and somebody's going to ask you, hey, where's the color blue, and where's the color red, and where's the color yellow? And you're gonna say, okay, I don't know. There's a little bit of everything everywhere, but it's not separated. It's not as easy to unearth it, to untie it, to spot it, right? As one might want to. And again, it is because of this intricate relationship that it is so hard to undo patriarchy, to undo white supremacy, to undo capitalism. The final premise that I will tell you about this is that, in my opinion, and this is my, you know, on academic, just lived experience, in my opinion, it is that white supremacy and patriarchy bred capitalism as a way to articulate their superiority, right? And capitalism, which is moved by greed, which is moved by money, which is moved by a lot of real, you know, like secondary concepts, just really obey the premises of white supremacy and patriarchy. When we put on these lenses, you can imagine, like, you're taking these lenses, right? And if you look from a distance, things look more focused than others. So when I put on these lenses, I look around and everything makes sense. It makes sense that there are millionaires and billionaires walking the streets while there's people shooting, you know, heroin and you know, like doing drugs and just really not having the support that they need, the mental health support, the just wellness support that they need. And you put this on and it's like, oh, of course, you know, if you work hard, you're gonna make a living, and then you're gonna get yourself out of poverty. What is that phrase? Pick yourself up with your through your
bootstraps.
Yes. Well, do you have that phrase, that complete phrase? What is that?
Oh, pull yourself up by your bootstraps to get the
Pull yourself.
American dream. America.
Yes, exactly. The American dream, that empty promise, that illusion that we've been sold, you know, that the world's been sold for the last few decades. So how does that look like? If a person makes 60 hours of work, and, you know, God knows that many of us do that, those 60 hours of work a week, and you make the same amount of money that someone else that is working for 20 hours, doing the same work or doing similar work, not working those hours, it's a privilege. And that is a manifestation of inequity. That word, privilege, right? And I think that in the last few years, and with the rise of those all of these liberation movements, privilege has become the boogeyman, right? Privilege has become the, oh, how dare you be more privileged than I am, right? I remember in the beginning of the 2010s, you know, or like in this first and second waves of the Me Too movement, there was a lot of like, how dare you come out and march if you don't belong to my group, right? How are you going to come and march if you are not a Black person? Why would you come to a Black Lives Matter? Or why, as a man, will you come to a march for you know, for women's rights? And I think that those notions are, while valid, are also really rooted in guilt and shame, right? And guilt and shame is, in, you know, in many ways a byproduct of this colonial thinking, and this still a very white center thinking, right? How dare you? Ha, clutching my pearls. Harumph, right? I think that one of the radical ideas that I'm going to present to you here, and you know, we can, in, you know, one-on-one, take the time that we need to talk further about this. But well, the concept that I will present to you is that we can bring compassion into the fold, so that we can get rid of guilt and shame and reframe our relationship to privilege. And so the truth, my friends, is that we all come with a certain degree of privilege. You know, um, I, for one, am a person of color. I am an immigrant. I was undocumented for a long time, or for some time, and that those are levels of marginalization that I experience, right? However, I am an able-bodied, you know, not presenting, for the most part, uh, individual. I had the privilege of going to college, right? So those are levels of privilege that I have. The truth is that we are all sit in an intersection, right? We are not bi-dimensional beings. We are complex three-dimensional beings, and we are sit in the crossroads of multiple intersections. So at this point, I'm going to ask you to just take a moment and consider all the intersections that you yourself represent. Are you a person of color, uh, man or woman, you know, cis, queer, you know, immigrant, first generation, educated, non-educated? You know, the truth is that this apex of society, when we pile up capitalism, uh, patriarchy, and white supremacy, what do we have? Well, we have a wealthy individual that also happens to be a man who also happens to be white, right? That would be the apex of this unbalanced structure. But I really invite you to take a moment, and just if you can, just write a couple of things in the chat right now. What are some of the things that you identify with in your privilege, and what are some of the things that you identify with in your levels of marginalization? When we undo that guilt and shame, and this is really a practical thing that we invite you all to do, you know, in our time at the Arts Collab, to get rid of guilt and shame. When we shift that into compassion, what we arrive to is this simple question: what are you doing with your privilege to support those that doesn't have the same amount of access to it, right? And this breeds a different form of relationship, a collaborative way of approaching things, right? Okay, listen, I don't, you know, for example, and you know, this is something that I remember was very present in some of the direct actions that Mike has hosted through the years that I've known him. Is like, you know, if police come, we already have a few white folks who are going to stand in the front, right? Because we understand that if you know, if police comes, it's less likely that they will harm white bodies in the line. So you know that it is a little bit of a given. So let's just strategize around this, right? Hey, I have a couple of friends who are in tech and finance. Ooh, techies. Yeah, but are they able to invest in our projects, right? So how do we instead of immediately rejecting a person or a group of people, how can we actually bring them to our side of the discourse? How can we share our perspective with them so that they look a little bit at what we are looking, and they can support us with the resources, the connections, the infrastructure that they have, right? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you to those who are participating. And remember, the intention here is to really look at each other with compassion and not with judgment. Okay, what is the real challenge? We were just talking about these 60 hours compared to 20 hours, right? But that is 1 week of work. That is just 1 week of work. What will happen if that extends through a year, right? If you're working consistently 20 hours and then there's another person working 60 hours and doing the same amount of money, well, the person working 60 hours is going to burn out, right? Is going to be alienated from reality. They just are in survival mode, right? They don't have time to think about themselves. They don't have time to think about self-care. They don't have time to think about their body, their personal development, their spiritual development, their community development. They are just about work, 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 right? There is no capitalism that is more scarring, that is more extractive than the capitalism that we experience here in the United States. You know, if you have been to other countries, if you have spent time in other countries, if you have you know, roots in other countries, you will know that there is, you know, it's not about work ethic, it's about work above all, productivity above all. So what happens when those factors accumulate through generations? You know, the effects become much heavier, much clearer and heavier, and they extend to our entire communities, right? I was reading a study, and unfortunately, I don't have a hold of it, but I promise I will look it up and share it in our notes. When you spend your money in a white-owned business, that money will remain in average, right? The owner of that business will take that money and will will spend it in another white-owned business, and so on. And that money will stay in the community for around 24 days. Okay. In the case of the Asian community, an Asian-owned business, if you go and you spend your money in an Asian owned business, the money will stay in the community for around 28 days, actually, right? The Asian community is really good at keeping the money within the community. If you spend your money in a Latino-owned business, your money will stay within the community for between 9 and 11 days, right? So the period of time shortens a lot, right? But if you spend your money in a Black-owned business, your money will stay within the community between 14 hours and 2 days, right? And why is this? Well, again, systemic issues. There's not a lot of Black-owned business, right? You know, it also matters where you are consciously putting your money. Where is your money going? Who are you giving your heart and dollars? Because that is the way that we are sharing energy with one another, right? So if you have an opportunity to spend your money in a, you know, in a corporation, for example, or you have an opportunity to spend your money in a small business, that is a big decision that you can make, right? If you can spend within your community, that is a big decision that you can make. If you can spend your money with a business or a person that you know that they're doing good work, not only with their business, but also in their community, that is a decision that is yours to make, right? There's a lot of other societal and honestly infrastructure factors that affect this inequity. We are all familiar with redlining, which is these policies that pass in the 50s, 60s, 70s, preventing people of color from buying houses in the suburbs, for example, right? So we actually had that massive effect of people leaving the cities to go live in the suburbs. And now with gentrification, all the people in the suburbs are coming back, right? All of these communities that were neglected for decades, now they're the hip spots. You know, it's happening in, you know, it's been happening to us in the mission for the last 2-3 decades. But now this is the cool hip, and they have tacos, and they have all of these beautiful murals, and it's not as sketchy as it used to be, but you know, so this is really part of the ways in which, you know, they have been toying with our communities and really not allowing for us to form a strong base for us to take care of ourselves and our people. However, do not despair, my brothers and sisters, because this is at the moment where we actually can articulate our voices. Culture is power, right? The art and culture shape our understanding of the world around us. So you remember the glasses that I was talking about, right? Culture is one of 3 main pillars in our society, including together with politics and economics. And yes, it is true that we might, you know, not have all the money in the world as artists, or all the direct influence with politicians, but we do have the influence within our community. And the work that we are doing is also shaping the way in which we interact with one another, and the way that we partner, and the way that we grow together. And based on that, there is a number of activists and people who represent themselves as cultural strategists that have started to create tools for cultural equity, right? In our first session, in our orientation session, we were talking about the playing field, and we were seeing that one of the forms of energy is infrastructure. And basically what we are trying to create now is a cultural equity infrastructure that allows us to support ourselves, our communities, and our vision of a new world. A good example of this is the Latino Cultural District. This was a group of community activists, the Business Owners Association of 24th Street, Calle 24. They got together a few years ago, and they basically proposed the government, hey, listen, there's a lot of gentrification happening here in the mission. So we need you to declare this area as a cultural corridor, right? As a cultural district. This was the first thing in the first legislation in its kind that happened in the whole country. And now there is 13 cultural districts in San Francisco alone. And this idea is being replicated in New York City, in Los Angeles, in San Diego. So this is to say that there is a lot of opportunities to create things that serve our communities. In the specific case of the cultural district, they determined that this geographic area offers special protections to tenants, local businesses, artists, cultural spaces, and practices such as, hey, we're going to have Carnaval here. Like it or not, this has been happening for the last 40 years. So we're going to continue our tradition. Hey, the Day of the Dead Parade and the ofrendas. We've been doing this for 33 years. So way before you came here and way after you leave. we're going to continue to do this. So these are our cultural practices, and these are our historical sites, and we're going to defend them, right? And this is the way in which we can defend those things. So with that, I propose you to create a new perspective, a perspective that is rooted in inclusivity, sustainability, and reciprocity. This phrase, together with the image that we just saw about culture and power, are phrases from Fabiana Rodriguez, who is a really, really powerful cultural strategist. And I recommend you all to go check out her work. Again, Fabiana Rodriguez, and we will have the link to her organization, the Center for Cultural Power. And this is when culture shifts, policy follows. A perfect example of this is marriage equality. Marriage equality was something that for the longest time was being hard fought in court and with legislation. And Obama, when Obama came into power, it was like, no, we're not sure about this. We're not ready for this. But then, like more and more groups started showing up. And then Joe Biden started saying, it's okay. It's okay. I think that marriage equality is doable. And then, Joe Biden started saying that. And within 6 months, Obama started adopting this same narrative. And then legislation passed within 3 months. So this is just to say, when we are moving the scale toward a different side, a different narrative, change can happen very quickly. And that is the truth about social movement. It happens really, really quickly. And that's it for this portion of cultural equity. We will arrive to the next part. But what do you guys think about this? Can we have just a moment of a couple of questions? Oh, what comes up for you?
I'd say that everyone's practice and everyone's art is really, 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 really needed, because if we just let the powers that be, dictate propaganda and the visuals and how life is, it's horrible. And it is, we know it's fucked up, but through your futurism and your remedy and your medicine, that is medicine for people to realize there's something outside of these constructs. So it's just so dope that to see everybody adding their seed and their force against all of this mierda that we know that's going on.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Eva.
I'm very thankful for this information. I've been thinking about these problems for years now, and especially because I come from a socialist society that was supposed to be the next step to solve all these problems. And, it really didn't solve any problem. And it really, in some cases, makes things worse. So as a social practitioner and interested in culture and in the, betterment of, the society, I'm very interested in what I'm hearing, because I've been thinking about solutions and how to move forward. And it's not easy, because for example, in a socialist society, what happens is that all this is replaced by power. So you don't have, other problems, but you have the problem that political power takes the place of privilege. So privilege is based on political power and access to ideology, and there's a lot of repression, and people who protest are put into jails. So, so I come here kind of listening, because these are questions, as I said, that I have been thinking for my whole life. And I have been living different realities, and I admire people who are still in the struggle, because I think it's important to move forward, and I consider myself one of them. But it's not easy, and there are not easy fixed solutions to these questions. Thank you.
Totally. Thank you so much. And this is such a rich participation, Eva, because the truth is that we don't have an answer yet. We haven't had a system that really provides dignity and justice for all, but that doesn't mean that we should not keep trying, right? The work that we're doing is feeding future generations, and I think that we stand a chance to do it if we continue to work together. I had Bria on the queue. Hey.
Yes, I just wanted to say that I feel like artists, we definitely have a voice, and that's one of the most powerful influences, especially in today's time. And I want to speak from like an educator and like working with like young children and just the things that they have access to, and like what they're spending their times looking at and seeing. And a lot of the times it's not anything that has to deal with politics. Like a lot of them don't even know that the writer's strike is happening right now. And that's something that is also affected a lot of people, especially like people of color, and like different shows that are no longer happening. Like the Black Lady sketch show is not renewed for to be on Max now because HBO is trying to figure out what direction they want to go in, but they just decided to not renew their show with no explanation. And so I say that to say, like, us being independent artists is also very important too, because a lot of these institutions and organizations are looking for people like us who are building things for ourselves and building up our community and trying to suck us into their ideology and their hierarchy and the way that they want to make society go. But if we continue to use our voices for the greater good and influence and really just like appeal to the young minds of today, because I really truly feel that the youth are our future. And like when they look up to us or when they see examples, positive examples, and real examples too, because nobody's perfect. We all make mistakes, but seeing people who are able to own that and like use their experiences and use their stories for the greater good. Like yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And listen, all of this is very important that I ground this in really the practical. It is important that we understand this, because we need to be able to articulate it within our presentations. Like we already know that, you know, we live in a racist society, but we need to be able to explain the roots of that so that the people who's reading our grant application understand the urgency that this holds. One last thing, and this is really, you know, it's a very simple way in which, you know, like when I saw this interview, I was like, oh, I mean, it is so clear and evident, but not everybody gets it so clear and evident. So here it is. It's just 1 minute.
Vision, even 10 years ago, was not, even if you look around now and you go like, oh, that's a pretty diverse workplace. 10 years ago, not even close to this. And a lot of it was, you didn't realize the internships weren't paid. So if you weren't already ahead in life, in other words, if your parents weren't already ahead,
right, you couldn't get an internship.
you couldn't afford to take a job for no money and live in the city. And then when the show was hiring, who would they choose from? The interns.
Yeah, the interns, right.
So it perpetuated, and until you started paying the interns and changing the tributaries. Right?
Yeah.
And it's
Think how many ways that is manifested, right?
Think
societally.
about financial institutions
Right.
who they hire from certain colleges, and then those colleges though are feeders, and they don't look in other places.
And that's two examples of thousands
of myriad. So television.
Just food for thought. Just food for thought. This is really how we need to get to the core of what is the reasoning behind our impetus to do this work, and how to articulate in a way that is as simple as that. And with that, Maestra Therese, the baton passes to you.
Okay, so we are going to have our artist presentations. If you could give them some love in the chat, and after, in between artists, maybe some verbal love, and then right after that, we'll have a 2-minute bio break. So first up, we have Mike. If you could make Mike a co-host. And Mike and Armando, you'll have up to 4 minutes, and I will give you a notification when you're down to your last minute.
Okie, let me put this on. Give me 1 second. Could you guys see? You can see my screen, yeah?
Yes.
Okay. How do you play? It's been so long since I've did a thing. How do you just start it?
F5.
F5? I don't have that on my computer.
You go on slideshow tab.
Boom. Oh, I appreciate that. Thank y'all. All right. My name is Michael Sierra, and this is such a beautiful. I just want to, thank everybody for sharing space. I'm extremely new to this whole process. I started in education. I'm a community organizer, and even like thinking of words to even label who I am is so interesting to me. So I would say mutual aid, direct action, and then cultural projects. Thank you, Arturo, for expanding my vocabulary, and mixed media are things that I've utilized just throughout my story. And then if we go here, who am I? I'm a second generation. My family's from Puerto Rico, Cuba, Nicaragua, and El Salvador. And I started in education, and I currently run a nonprofit in Oakland, California. And all of this was built through just direct service and community action and education. I came from the burbs like in 2010 and moved to San Francisco to take care of my grandmother. And during that time, there was just a smorgasbord and a clusterfuck of things going on. We had the gang injunction. We had City College. The college I was going to was under attack and lose accreditation and funding. We had Occupy happening. We had police brutality and the Super Bowl city of Edley happening. So there was a lot of stuff happening, and I felt powerless. And going to City College, I began to get plugged in with direct action and groups. So MECHA was one of them, and also the Diversity Collaborative. And we merged together with faculty and students with direct action to actually, start winning stuff and start firing police chiefs and start taking space and winning our accreditation. So long story short, my education background and mutual aid stuff turned into Myriad Outreach Project. And there's multiple different projects that utilize art and culture to take up space. So there's Meals on One Wheels. We deliver food and electric vehicles and engage with youth. There's Building Community Collective that prioritizes local artists, local vendors, local community groups, and takes space in the public with free food and music. So everybody can engage in art and people can sell their stuff with no table cost and just get exposed to community in a safe way on our own terms. We also have direct action for farm workers, which started during the wildfires, but we continue to plug in with families and schools. And then Myriad Outreach Project, we do community art installations, banner drops, food outreaches, community crochet circles, marches, and you name it. And art and communities, it starts sharing stories and what's going on in communities, right? I'm not going to act like I know what I'm doing, but through that, then we merge community infrastructure and resources. And then we create these accessible spaces with art, food, and music. And then we continuously hold this space so the youth, elders, and people that are trying to get involved can get linked up. So that's just a little bit of that. And then if we go to the next one, I kind of want to just show you, like I can let you know, it sounds like a lot of things, but I want to show you how art, culture, and community, how taking space is like pivotal. So this is like a collaboration of a bunch of my different art for the last 10 years. So we can just take a look at what's going on right here.
You have a minute and a half left total, Mike.
Okay, I'm just gonna show like 30 seconds of this.
Okay.
Could you guys hear this?
No, you can go
Okay.
to share. You can tap again on share screen. the green button, and it's
This
gonna
one?
pop out a window, and on the bottom left corner there's a little box that says share sound. You have to.
And this one right here?
Where you have the share screen, the arrow, click on that arrow.
This one?
We cannot see you. We cannot see your tools bar.
Oh, okay, got you.
At the bottom of the screen where it says chat, participants, record, there's a little share screen.
And I think you click on the advanced settings and you should find it there.
No worries, guys. We're just gonna go with the flow of this, but this is you can't see it, you can't hear it, but this is the merger of all of these things. We have building community collective, we have art, food, music, elders coming in and taking up space and using art to try to understand what was going on. And specifically for context, this is when we started taking statues down and started shutting freeways down. The community wanted some type of healing and unpacking of what was going on. So this was an event that we threw, linking art and community together. Yeah, and then so just for that, just to keep it in wraps, y'all, is like I'm super new to this. I'm in a community organizer who has used art and in all of these spaces, but I'm learning to like unearth my language of what this looks like. I always just do community economics and ask my broke friends for art supplies and for these things. And then now I created a nonprofit to, you know, put another egg in another basket. Like I'm still severely against nonprofits, but I want to understand how to walk and talk like a duck so I can extract resources on the community's terms and give back and try to keep on through sharing space with y'all is like understanding what is my practice and how can I gain more resources through this world I'm in, because I'm heavily in community action and then a 9-to-5 nonprofit type thing. So I have an egg in each basket. So I feel like I'm in two worlds. And this is just like the beginning step of trying to like iron out what does art look like specifically in this vein. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. How much time do I have left?
You're down to your wrap.
Perfect. How do you help? Follow, like, and share. I'm going to put it in the just literally liking and sharing, and how I can contribute to y'all. I have a nonprofit. We economically sponsor and engage in multiple collaboration. I will show up boots on the ground with my human energy and promote anything you have. So consider yourself having a nonprofit because you can utilize my tax ID status and every economical advantage through me if you want. So that's available for you. And yeah, there you go.
All right, let's share some verbal love to Mike. Woo! Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, y'all. And it's just beautiful because to put all of this in my head, the first step, this is the stage one, and then I can get to y'all's level of how you articulate everything.
Amazing.
This was perfect.
Armando, you're up next. And there's lots of love in the chat for you, Mike.
Okay. So mine is pretty bare bones because I had food poisoning. So I got something together.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I'm setting the timer for 4 minutes for you. I hope you are on the mend.
Okay. Do I just share my screen or is it on me?
You want to share your screen.
Okay. Sorry. I'm a chimpanzee with technology. Okay. Okay. Screen share. Sorry. Oh, here we go. Yep. There we go. Okay. It's going to be 3 minutes of this. All right.
4 minutes, ready.
All right. I'm ready. It's pretty quick. So who I am, my name's Armando. I work at the Mission Culture Center. I've been there since I was like a teenager and I was a kid teaching kids. I started doing capoeira through the CAP program, which is no longer around in the Bay Area, but it was a big part of the history in the mission and like with my teacher. I also now work with Project Commotion, which focuses on special needs, and I'm the program coordinator now for it. So I'm happy to teach teachers and like expand my outreach, because I used to just hustle on my own and go to schools. Now I'm part of a nonprofit. And I also am a musician working with Jamestown and through Local Bloco. So a lot of the things I do always involves the community in some aspect. All right, next slide, hopefully. Okay, so my teacher, Mestre Preguiça, born in Brazil, was the reason why I work with youth in the way I do, because the CAP program was something he started in 1995 in San Francisco in the Bay Area, where my teacher was homeless in Brazil at age 11. So he wanted to work with at-risk youth. So a lot of youth that face academic problems, belong to gangs, or had substance abuse problems. He was trying to get everyone in school and be willing to change. And he's helped a lot of people throughout the years. And I'm like one of the last ones to come up. So I work with youths and their families, and like Capoeira for me doesn't stop. So in the bottom right, it's me with my kids during the pandemic outside, giving each other space. And I've been teaching families and just trying to strengthen bonds because of my upbringing. You know, I probably hugged my dad, not that much, probably like less than a few fingers, but I want to give youth more time to be with their families and to have memories with them. So at Project Commotion, you know, it's all play-based. So I grew up doing martial arts and it was rough, you know, and I don't want that experience for everybody because they're not me. So learning how to play and to teach through a creative outlet has been beneficial, and especially with the focus on special needs. So I've been focused on that, more special needs and more play-based, and just giving people more of an avenue of movement. And what I'm proposing and like thinking about after hearing the presentations from last week, that's my wife on the right. She's a speech therapist, and we're going to start having like special needs open gym and like more classes towards youth for special needs for their families. Because what I noticed in the Bay and in San Francisco, there's not much for them. I used to work at a place that was just like once a month, just special needs open gym. And I'm like, no, everybody needs equal opportunity to move and to play and to make connections and to make friends. So that's kind of where I want to expand my practice, and not just like in San Francisco or Monterey, but anywhere that needs it and has the population for it. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Very quick, sorry.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
How can people support you?
I wish like for me, it's just being here, being part of this cohort, everybody supporting me through just like hearing your stories, hearing your thoughts. I'm very supportive too. So if anybody needs like a performance or someone to promote, I'm here too, because I love to support anybody. But if anybody wants to, it's in the works, but I can put, I guess, my handle, you know, and I'm just still trying to figure out what I want to do with social media, because it's just a lot of disconnect in my opinion. It's very passive. You like and you move on. But yeah, let's just stay in contact, and I love to support everybody's work too, and to just show up and be there.
All right, can we give some verbal love to Armando? Woo! Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm also putting this in the chat, but up next week for presentations are Laz, Bria, and Steph. So mark your calendars. And we're gonna have a 3-minute bio break.
And if I can just before we wrap this part up, think about an actionable ask for your fellow buddies here in the space. Just maybe even something simple, but we can find it.
So we'll see you in 3 minutes.
Hey, Arami, ¿cómo estás?
Estoy bien, más o menos.
Bien, más o menos. Estoy bien, bien, más o menos.
Bien, más o menos dormida.
Despierta.
Con mi café.
I recently got access to this little charango and I'm loving it.
Is that where are charangos from?
Charangos are from the Andes.
Okay, that's what I thought. I thought it was like, I was gonna say Colombian, but I guess Peruvian makes more sense.
So Peruvian, Chilean.
What makes it different from a guitar?
What makes them different?
How
Well,
many
it's
strings?
smaller. It is
Mhm.
smaller. You see this shape?
Mhm.
Traditionally, they used to make this with an armadillo.
That makes sense. It looks like an armadillo.
Right?
Yeah.
So, and the sound, it has all of these strings. So it has like
Like
uh,
12 strings. It looks like
10
it's
strings.
a
It has
10.
strings, yes. And so this part is like, hold on.
How do you play it?
How do you play? Well, you can strum it like this.
I can't hear it.
You cannot hear it?
It's weird.
Oh, that's so bad. Can you hear that?
That's- No, not at all. When you play,
Really? Wow. Okay, hold on just a second. What's going on here? What's going on here?
I think you'll have to turn on like the studio mode on Zoom. Like Zoom will cut off high frequencies.
Oh, the noise suppression.
Yeah.
oh, there
about
it
now?
is.
That's better.
Yeah, now you can hear it. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You know what? I have heard that on some albums. Now I know it's that instrument. It has like a very distinct sound.
It is a very distinct sound, you know? And then you can also be like,
There's this like I think Chilean artist called Pepe something that I really like, and then he has a whole album where I swear that's what he's using on most of the songs.
yes. Yeah, no, honestly,
Yeah.
because I generally play the ukulele. And this is a different kind of.
I like the sound of that better than the ukulele, personally. I'm
Yeah,
I'm not a
more
fan
rich.
of the ukulele sound.
Well, it depends on how you play it, you know, because these can also be very. Let's see.
I think because it's so jangly. I'm a weirdo with sounds. And what I don't like about ukuleles is it sounds too jangly, like jing 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 jing. And I don't know. I'm not a big fan of that sound. Sorry, I'm a producer and I'm just very particular. Like
Yeah,
like
no,
this,
no.
I don't like that.
Okay, segue back to Arts Collab session 2.
It's time.
Arturo, you
Thank
want to
you.
go ahead and get started on the artist bio?
Absolutely. All right, welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. See, that's come on over, come on your cameras if you can. You know, this is a very important part. All right, here we go. Your artist bio. Okay, so you're familiar with you know, just bios in general, correct? For every project that you see on the internet, for everything that everyone that is putting something forward, they generally have to build a bio for it. Now, the bio is a short presentation. It can be 100 words, as small as 100 words, which is like 3 to 4 phrases tops. 150, 200, 300. I personally will recommend you guys to have a 300 word version of it and a 100 version of it, 100 word version of it. And this has to comply with the following things. Your bio has to be written in the third person. Why does it have to be written in the third person? Because for most of the time, the organizations that are presenting you will use it as an introduction. Meet Inertia Do It. She's a body-based practice specialist therapist, with accreditations with this and this institute. Inertia has achieved these main achievements, right? So that is why we are going to always refer to ourselves in the third person. Okay, that is number one. Number two, include your pronouns. I think that it's becoming more and more present that people want to know how to address you, how to better address you, and having your pronouns is a key component of it. Your artist bio will give insight on how to interpret your art. You know how a lot of times, like, you go to a place and you're seeing this thing, but you don't get the context, right? You don't get the full picture of what is happening with an artist. So this will be a main way for them to understand, okay, they're coming from a traditional background. Okay, so then I'm going to interpret their art as traditional art. Explain who you are, right? Like, what is your medium, your practice. Highlight your top achievements related to the project at hand. We all have multiple, a wide range of accreditations and diplomas and all of these things, but you don't need to include everything. You just need to include the things that are related to the project at hand. So in that regard, it is practical for you to make a list of all of your achievements. And then when you are preparing a specific bio for a specific project, you can just bring into the text whatever are the things that are related to that project. And the final part is it will make your audience want to learn more and view your artwork, right? So you will drop a little hook in your artist bio. We are going to be sharing with you guys this handout, and this is really what you will need. Your artist bio is a quick presentation, everything that I just shared with you, and we're going to elevate the challenge. We're going to make a 150, and we're going to make a 300 words bio. Okay, this is going to be useful for you, and we're going to drop this in the chat right now, and we're of course going to have it in the post-game notes for you guys to play with it, to access it and make your own copy. This is somewhat simple. This is somewhat easy. This is going to be part of your homework this week, and we are going to review your artist bios next week. This is an excellent thing that you can check in with your support body about. Hey, what do you think about this? Let me read it for you. Do you have any questions? Do you have any comments? What comes up for you when I read you my bio? And it reads like this. Do you have any questions?
Can you provide some examples?
Absolutely.
Like guidance around what should be in an artist bio?
Yes. So as I was telling you, it's all about giving people a sense of who you are as an artist. Let me share with you. This is my bio, and this is my short bio, I believe. Arturo Mendez is an arts producer, curator, and community organizer, sorry, advancing cultural equity in San Francisco for the last 8 years, right? So I've been working for 8 years. Founder of community projects including Arts Collab, La Diaspora Festival, and Urban Prophets Illustrated. Recipient of fellowships with the Advocacy Leadership Institute, Intercultural Leadership Institute, and the Emerging Arts Professionals. And I'm listing the years. His work centers on cultural equity by creating art and producing platforms that showcase narratives outside of the mainstream and advocate for institutional policies and practices that center the voices of people from under-resourced communities. And then I just finished with my hook is I finish with a quote that you try to utilize. Culture is an essential tool to pursue dignity for all people. La cultura es una herramienta indispensable para la dignidad de los pueblos, right? So in that simple of a structure, I am sharing all of the things. Like I'm telling who I am, how long have I been doing my work, what are my projects, what are my accomplishments, how can you interpret my work. His work centers on cultural equity by creating and producing platforms showcasing the narratives outside of the mainstream, right? And then I give them a little something to keep them engaged. Culture is an essential tool to pursue dignity for all people. Oh, that's an interesting premise. Let me look it up, right? Let me learn more about this artist, right? So we are going to include. Would you like to read your bio, Mo?
Yeah, this is what I call my shorty pants. Teresa's a Black queer woman activist, storyteller, visual artist, performance festival producer, and percussionist with years of, I just lost the chat, with years
Oh, sorry.
with years of successful experience as a multi-talented public-facing performer and producer. She's also a dynamic creativity and life coach, co-director of Arts Collab, and emerging professionals, alumni and mentor, and cultural equity advocate.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So then again, this is all about just giving them enough that they can understand who you are and leaving them wanting for more. Who? We're going to because this is a somewhat straightforward content. We're going to leave it there, and we're going to share this exercise with you. We ask you to start writing your artist bio, and we're going to check on it next week to see how are you guys doing. And now we're gonna go to the next portion, correct, Ms. Mo?
Yes, you can bring up the slides. So today ended up being an auspicious synchronicity day because both of our artists who presented clearly displayed what we're going to be covering next, which is cultural equity and like the narrative behind like why you're doing what you're doing. So if you get lost at any point when you're working on this, just come back and watch Mike and Armando's presentations. And really what you want is your voice and your heart to be in your narrative. But I'm going to give you some pointers on how to start researching, and then also on how to start writing. And you're going to get handouts as well for these things. They'll be in the post-game notes and in the independent study document that lives in the classroom. So Arturo, if you could share the screen, that'd be great. So the first thing to take into consideration is that we're not alone. There are other people and projects and organizations doing similar work, and we can definitely learn from them. I recommend having this on a piece of paper when you're going through your websites and you're researching folks. how are the folks describing their work? Who are they serving? Where are they getting their funding from? How are they getting their funding? And even some of the language and the way in which they're describing the work that they're doing. You can borrow language and like update your narrative on how you're speaking about the same topic. And then look at, what is catching your attention about how they're doing the work and how they're describing it. And is there something in that work that you could use to describe your own work? And so in the homework, we were asking you to essentially look up a couple of organizations who are doing similar work and also a couple of artists that are receiving funding. So when you get to your work for cultural equity-centered narratives, here's one example of how one of our artists approached it. So we're looking at their contribution and then what it is that they're offering it in terms of framework for the cultural equity statements. So this person, if somebody would like to volunteer to read what their contribution is and what they're offering, that would be great. Can I get a volunteer?
To read it?
Yeah.
Oh, my contribution. I'm organizing spaces where artists can learn about cultural equity and network within the industry, cultivating community events and spaces where all BIPOC artists, including LGBTQIA+, can share their art and their story. I want to use culture, art, and music to heal within the community.
And what they offer is providing a healing, healing for the community, a space for BIPOC folks to share their art and stories, and then also educating community about the resilience through culture and preservation. And as a teaching artist, there's basically an opportunity for them to share cultural backgrounds and heritage. Next example. And can I get another volunteer? Ria.
My contribution.
Raising funds and awareness for artists that represent their cultural background. What about their roots make them resilient despite the obstacles?
And so here, this artist community benefit is people will be better off because they get a sense of self-awareness, creative expressions, and how they can be related to. A lot of cultures have survived hardships and overcome obstacles through music and storytelling. It's our way of turning our pain and struggles into joy. It's one of African Americans' main ways of uniting with the community. We dance, we sing, we commune, we rejoice. Music has always been medicine and will remain as such, along with being entertainment. Any questions so far on how these artists framed their contribution and the community benefits? Okay, next slide, Arturo. So these are some real helpful tools that we're also giving you in a handout that can essentially guide you in creating your narrative. And you can even organize your thoughts first in this way and then turn it into a narrative. If I'm coaching you, I can support you with this. If Arturo's coaching you, he can support you with this. You're going to be looking at what you have to offer, what is the community benefit, presenting a case for it, and then what's the source of the need. And you really want to include statistics and or data. I worked with Trey on creating a proposal for a project. And Trey, do you remember what you had listed for statistics? I believe it was related to the lack of spaces.
I don't remember off the top of my head, but I could pull it up really quickly. But I think that well, while I put it up, according to my website, like most people, most minorities, quote unquote, don't have access to spaces. It's about like let's see. Sorry for taking up so much time. Let's go here with it then. Okay, so I'm gonna just quote the statistics off of my website that I have. Black Americans, so basically a lot of people of color are not represented in a lot of spaces. Black Americans own 2.2 employer businesses in America. Hispanics own 5.3%. Indigenous Americans own 0.5%, and Asian Americans own 8.9%, according to the Minority Business Development Agency. But that's what I have readily available.
So just in quoting the statistics, he's able to make a case for the importance of creating opportunities. So we're going to go back and take a look at what you have to offer. You may be offering a space. You may be offering your knowledge as an educator, and also creating some more awareness around cultural background and heritage. When you look at the community benefit, you might be taking a look at how it's going to help others achieve success, to be successful with their own goals, and how it might move things to a more equitable and sustainable future. And possibly another benefit would be uplifting members in the community, elevating representation, and creating opportunities for people with a specific background. You also want to make a case for it. So it could be something like it supports mental health. There's a need for cultural representation. And then you can take a look at the source of the need, lack of resources, limited opportunities, limited representation. And so these are just a few tips on how to start organizing your thoughts around your cultural equity, and how and if you haven't thought about this before, now is a great opportunity to do that, so that you can add this to your narrative and answer the questions when when the providers are asking how does your project impact community? What is the community impacted by your project? Any questions about documenting your vision? So I want to just give you a moment to think about your project and think about the ways in which you're contributing to your community. And I also want to put a narrative at the center of your imagination. So I just dropped it in the chat. If you consider the transformative power of creativity and its impact on communities, what can we create to inspire wonder and illuminate possibilities that exist when we allow ourselves to dream and imagine? I can start. Equitable wages for performers, stages for emerging and experienced artists to share the same space, community-facing events where people look like the artist, affordable spaces, affordable events for people to participate in that increase civic engagement. Arturo, can you maybe mention some of the benefits of some of the things that you've done?
Yeah, enhancing representation, giving access, right, to people. Well, enhancing representation means that you're going to see a story or a narrative that looks like yourself, resembles your life on a stage, on a gallery, on a picture, on a documentary, etc., etc. Giving access. I know that here in the group we have a lot of people who are doing work in somatic-based practices and wellness-based practices. So there's a lot of people who don't have access to these kinds of services, and we are providing those services through the work that we're doing, creating platforms for people to be distributed, for people to be seen, the case of Olive and Steph, you know, creating a platform, creating spaces for community, creating safe spaces for community to gather around a similar idea, creating opportunities for coalition, creating creating content and pedagogies for you know dismantling the systems that we live in, right? Or we can call this creating content for education and for empowerment of different populations. Yeah, a lot of I think that a lot of the work that we are, particularly the group that we are working with, is about developing infrastructure, right? Is that everyone that we are serving, they don't have to invent the wheel themselves. We can provide the wheel so that they can use it in the ways that they need.
So the last question I'd like to pose to y'all before we close up this section is, based on, you know, the things that Arturo talked about today around cultural equity and the frameworks that I've supported y'all in thinking about and creating a narrative, where are you clearer now about cultural equity and its impact? How it might impact how you're writing?
It's gonna be, can I share? Sorry.
Yeah, yes, please.
I was gonna
Lauren.
say, I feel like cultural equity would be at the center of almost everything that I do personally, and probably that many of us are doing, which is why we're here in the cohort. Yeah. So it's probably, I feel like there's gonna be at least one sentence in almost every like chunk that I write, whether that's the artist bio, my contribution, and or what was the third one after contribution? Impact. Yeah. That's it. That's my answer.
Any other ahas for people? Anursha, I saw you responding physically to the video when they were talking about paid internship versus unpaid. You want, and I know you shared a little bit about that in the chat. Would you care to share a little more about what that was like for you?
Yeah, it's just so many people I know, including myself, you know, we're the first ones in our family to maybe go to college or maybe even especially go to grad school. And as people of color, there's a lot of resources that you don't even know are available to you, which is like cool that we're getting access to through this. But the other side of that, in terms of becoming a licensed therapist, is you're expected to do 3,000 hours, most of which is often done sometimes in a place where you're getting underpaid, maybe not paid at all, or you're having to pay for the training that they're offering because of the inequities that are in the system at large. And for folks who are partnered, have family support, et cetera, you know, it's like, okay, cool, we can go through it. And that's why I think it, you know, it supports a lot of white women being therapists. You know, how do you get through this process of becoming licensed is the question that I'm part of the question I'm trying to like resolve with this initiative. So yeah, I just really resonated with that. And it's terrible when, I think it's terrible when a therapist in training has to prioritize their own, you know, wellness and like paying rent over even like than the learning too, because that's also a problem, right? If you're not really learning and you're just trying to make money, you're not necessarily providing good therapy either. So yeah, big issue.
Great. Well, thanks everyone for the contributions that you've made today. And Jeremy mentioned, I looked into and realized I could not afford to become a therapist as a single lady. I wish there were more Latina therapists. You should chat up Inertia about their initiative. So I want to just come back to this again and just give you 30 seconds just to kind of sit with this concept of considering the transformative power of creativity and its impact on communities, what can we create to inspire wonder and illuminate the possibilities that exist when we allow ourselves to dream and imagine? And we're going to go ahead and segue into a short little video clip about a friend of ours called the monkey mind. The monkey mind is a prehistoric brain encouraging you to react as if there is a tiger outside your door, so that even if there is that 1% chance that a tiger is outside your door, that you know how to react. And throughout our time together, we're going to be working on alternatives to entertaining those conversations that you have with the monkey mind. And here's kind of a segue introduction into that concept of monkey mind.
Give me just a second. Yeah, no, just to take what Therese said, this is not a new concept. This is actually a
So in college,
1,000-year-old concept, and this is a very brief introduction, and we will we just want to plant this seed, foreshadow this seed, and then we will talk more about this in our future sessions.
College, I had to write a lot of papers. Now, when a normal student writes a paper, they might spread the work out a little like this. You get started maybe a little slowly, but you get enough done in the first week that with some heavier days later on, everything gets done and things stay civil. I would have it all ready to go, but then actually the paper would come along, and then I would kind of do this. And that would happen every single paper. But then came my 90-page senior thesis. Those first few months, they came and went, and I couldn't quite do stuff. And one day I woke up with 3 days until the deadline, still not having written a word. I wrote 90 pages over 72 hours, pulling not one but 2 all-nighters. Now, I had a hypothesis that the brains of procrastinators were actually different than the brains of other people. So here's the brain of a non-procrastinator. Now, here's my brain. Both brains have a rational decision maker in them, but the procrastinator's brain also has an instant gratification monkey. So the rational decision maker will make the rational decision to do something productive, but the monkey doesn't like that plan. And he says, actually, let's read the entire Wikipedia page of the Nancy Kerrigan-Tanya Harding scandal, because I just remembered that happened. The instant gratification monkey does not seem like a guy you want behind the wheel. He lives entirely in the present moment. He only cares about 2 things, easy and fun. How does the procrastinator ever get himself over here to this blue zone? A less pleasant place, but where really important things happen. That the procrastinator has a guardian angel, someone called the panic monster. The panic monster suddenly wakes up anytime a deadline gets too close or there's danger of public embarrassment or some other scary consequence. This entire situation with the 3 characters, this is the procrastinator's system. It's not pretty, but in the end, it works. Everything I've talked about today, the examples I've given, they all have deadlines. And when there's deadlines, the effects of procrastination are contained because the panic monster gets involved. But there's a second kind of procrastination, when there is no deadline. So if you want to have a career where you want to be a self-starter, something in the arts, something entrepreneurial, or exercise of your health, there's no deadlines on those things at first. All of these non-deadline situations, the panic monster doesn't show up. So the effects of procrastination, they're not contained, they just extend outward forever. And it's this long-term kind of procrastination that's much less visible. It's usually suffered quietly and privately, and it can be the source of a huge amount of long-term unhappiness. Now, I want to show you one last thing. I call this a life calendar. That's 1 box for every week of a 90-year life. We need to think about what we're really procrastinating on. We need to stay aware of the instant gratification monkey. That's a job for all of us. And because there's not that many boxes on there, it's a job that should probably start today. Well, thank you.
So how many of y'all can relate to that?
Um, one important thing to say here is that this is one of many approaches to the monkey mind, right? To the instant gratification monkey, as they call it. We will be getting in depth on like how do we all experience it, because we all experience this little inner chatter in our head, and how to develop a healthy relationship with it, right? So as we move forward, just take this in consideration, particularly because now this week you not only have to finish your project summary, you also have to work on your artist bio, and you have to start developing your cultural equity statement. Right, Mo?
Yeah.
And we have one last part, correct?
Yeah, I just want to say that the details about the homework, we've hit you with a bunch of slides. So we'll save you a little more slide action. The information about the homework will be in the slide. That's essentially doing the research and also continuing to work on the things that Arturo just mentioned. And we will also be starting our first co-working session next Tuesday. It's an opportunity where we're going to get together to co-work on what we've been working on so far, and also just to be in a supportive space where you may not necessarily be getting any coaching on your sections, but just being around your comrades and working on your content. And you all have been invited to that. So if you can RSVP if you plan on attending, that would be great. I am going to, I'm going to hand the floor over to Sen. Sen is going to be talking about the Google Classroom.
Hey everyone. I hope you guys are feeling a lot better than I am. Oh, I'm just tired from taking care of so many animals. Anyways, I'm gonna get into this Google Classroom situation. Most of you, if you have not already, signed up onto the Google Classroom. Thank you.
Oh, you're on mute.
Hello. Was I on mute this whole time?
No, we got the animal care piece.
Okay. Awesome. So if you have already signed up for Google Classroom, thank you so much for doing that already. I'm going to share my screen to kind of show you what the Google Classroom looks like.
You're on mute again, Sen.
Sen, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you now.
think-
So we
I
hear you
think-
if you start sharing your screen.
Yeah, I think my computer, because I'm using the Google computer right now, I think it was trying to use any sound that was on my screen share. It muted me. So as I was saying before I was interrupted, this is the stream page. So this is where you will find prompts that I'll be posting before every session. You can either answer during while we're waiting for everyone to join the class, or at the end of the class. But this is also a space for you to utilize on sharing resources and upcoming events. Thank you so much, Bria, for answering already a prompt from today. And then there is a thread resource, a thread for resources. So if you have any like grants coming up that you feel like your peers may be eligible for, any training opportunities, any mentorship hubs, anything that you feel like your peers would really benefit from, this is a thread that you would really want to input and just comment. And I think when you comment, you'll be able to add like, yeah, I don't think you'll be able to add a link, but then if you do have a link or a video, you can, does anyone have it opened up? Are you able to post on the stream page? Can someone let me know if you're able to post it? Because you'll be able to maybe add a Google Drive, YouTube video file link. Is anyone on the Google Classroom or can open it?
I'm on it, but I'm not sure what you're asking me to do.
Oh, so when you're on the stream page, does it show up this option to make an announcement to the classroom, or is it only on my setting?
Yeah, it says I could announce something to the class.
Yeah, so if you're able, so everyone hopefully should be able to announce something to the class. So let's say you do have a link or a YouTube video that you feel like would be beneficial, feel free to post that on the stream page. Yes, so I think someone updated it. And then also just kind of like upcoming events. Thank you, Nisha, for commenting on an upcoming event that's happening in Berkeley this weekend, I believe. So feel free to tap into that. Next, we're going to go into the classwork section. So at the top, you'll see stream, classwork. This is where you're going to find your independent study and handouts. So this is going to be a living document for you and your peers to access any post-game notes after every session. So this document is just a shortcut to open a document you should already have permission to. And this document is going to be updated after every session. So it's just one document. All you have to do is just scroll down to see the most updated notes for the most recent sessions. And it should have all the sessions. Yes, so last week's session should be there as well. I'm just going to open it up real quick so you guys can see. So you just click that. It'll be the similar documents you receive via email. Instead, it's just going to be on here to make it a little bit easier and less spammy. You're going to have your materials, links to that. This is from last week, July 8th. So you have all the notes, any homework that you have listed down. And then at the end, you'll see post-game notes for this session. So just continue. We encourage you guys to kind of like really visit this page, visit the classrooms every week before session, just to make sure you stay updated on the post-game notes, see if you guys can engage with each other. Also, can someone go on the Google Classroom? Can someone click on the classwork? I've made these topics and I want to see, they're like questions, right? That I assigned to everyone. I want to see if you guys are able to see your own answers or each other's answers. Can someone just, you don't have to write an actual answer, but you can just, be like testing, and then we can see if.
Can you repeat that guideline, Sen? What do you want us to do?
To go in the classwork section, there's different topics. So you can either go under the resource topic or the upcoming event topic. Each topic has a question assigned to it where you can answer. I'm trying to see if participants are able to see each other's answers for the questions. So like I can see view responses. So let me see. All right, tests. Okay, but I can see it. Can you guys see it on your end if you are updating,
Yes.
Can someone outside of Ryan see the answers. Okay, so you can see the answer on the stream part, but not the class work.
I can see Ryan's answer.
You can see Ryan's answer, Arturo?
Yes, and mine as well.
Okay.
You're a teacher, Arturo, so you'll be able to see it.
Yeah, you'll be able to see it, but I'm trying to see if everyone else is able to. That's non-teachers. No, okay. It was just more so me testing if that was something that whether we had to use the stream or classwork. So we'll just any resources or upcoming events, just use the threads on the stream section. So thank you, Arturo. Yes. So again, this thread is for resources. This thread is for upcoming events. So just look at, comment any resources or upcoming events under these threads. And then folks just kind of keep an eye out. And then also, like, let's say you have some questions about what you're doing for the week, any homework. Feel free to put an announcement in the stream section. Be like, hey, is anyone having trouble with their artist bio? Or I'm getting stuck on my artist narrative. How do you guys feel about this? Feel free to use this stream section to write that down and connect with each other. And then hopefully, again, we're encouraging all of you to visit this classroom and engage with each other and make sure that, like, if your peers do have questions, you can help each other through that process outside of your buddies system. And then even when you have your meetings with your buddy system, just take time, like maybe 5 minutes out of your meeting to visit the classroom together and check out any updates that may be there. Mo mentioned that she will be updating the classwork document, living document, every Monday and Tuesday. So if you need a deadline to check the classroom, Google Classroom, do it Wednesday, no later than Friday.
Great, Sam. Thank you so much for your support in getting the classroom up and popping.
Yeah.
And
Sorry, just wanna say two quick things. The first one is, you guys know that this is an iterative process, meaning that we are always adding elements to our training and always trying to make it clearer and easier for folks. So the classroom is something that we have actually been tinkering for some time with, but now we were like, you know what, we are in a good place where we can actually make this accessible for everybody and we can keep it up. Thank you so much, Sen, for all of this work, and Therese as well, because you have been at the helm of this idea and just pushing it forward so that we can all have a library basically of concepts and ideas, a space for connection and communication. And guys, if you find anything that you're not super clear, any recommendations, we are super open. And then again, we're building this together. So thank you for your grace and your patience as we really come into our full power in utilizing this tool, and use it as much as you can. Please do us that kindness of using it as much as you can, so that we can see how that looks like in action, right? How does it look like when we're all participating and collaborating through Google Classroom? And hey, it might be that you also learn a powerful tool for your own program and your own project that you're developing. So thank you.
let's take a picture. If you could come on camera for a moment as we peace out. Armando, can you peace out with us? No, Armando. You're muted, Arturo. You want to take a picture? Uno, dos, tres.
3, 2, 1.
I appreciate you all. Thank you,
We
everybody.
did it, guys. Thank you.
I'm just kidding.
Now we're just gonna stay in the space with the folks who we're going to be doing the quick grant application with. You know who you are, so don't go anywhere.
Hey, everyone, have a good weekend.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Bye.
Adios. Arami, Dominique, Inertia. There you go. Oh my God. Okay.
Well, I guess I'm peacing out too.
Hey, Trey, are you the one recording? Did you press recording?
No. But no, I didn't press recording.
Okay. Well, all right. Good luck to us all.
Oh, for sure. Let me know when you're ready to reconvene at some point this week.
Absolutely. I'll text you, okay?
Sure.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, wait, I remember